Hello, Peter. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Listen, before we start the interview, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody and give us a little bit of a background on what you did prior to becoming a business coach?
Okay. Well, my name is Peter Lepinski, and I'm a coach up in Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada. I always say I'm so far north. My next door neighbor is Santa Claus. You may have heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Most northerly coach in the Americas. Prior to Action Coach, I served in a university, served in the military, and then had a corporate career. Also was a small business owner. And when I decided to leave the corporate world, done with the corporate world, I decided to become an action coach. And I've been coaching for almost 7 years now.
7 years. Now, what kind of industry were you in the corporate world?
I was in the oil and gas industry, downstream side, so the retail wholesale side of oil and gas industry. Then I was a district sales manager and an operations manager with a large distribution logistics company, and also the general manager of a large home building company.
Okay, pretty diverse.
Yeah.
What drew you to business coaching?
Well, the business experience, and I was very successful in my corporate roles in doing business turnarounds and working with people to turn their portion of the business around. So coaching was just a natural fit.
Yeah, so you basically did coaching within the corporate world and the small business world, and then just took that experience to do it on your own, be your own boss, basically.
You bet.
Now, why Action Coach? What drew you to Action Coach?
Well, when I research coaching companies, I look for, I wanted a company with first of all, a global reach. I wanted a company that worked together as a team and where you could be mutually supporting. Because we're, I think, 55 or 59 countries, it gives us that global perspective, number one, and number two, the learnings that we can have from each other is just phenomenal. You know, I often think, and I don't know what the right number is, but in any given day during a week, how many business owners are we as coaches or as action coach talking to? And I would suspect it's in the thousands. I'm not saying we're coaching thousands a day, but every given day, how many business owners are we talking to? I know every given day that I'm probably talking to at least 10 different business owners, whether I'm coaching them or just meeting them and interviewing them about their business. That's a wealth of knowledge that we are bringing in that's phenomenal.
Now, Peter, you mentioned that you wanted a coaching company that had a global reach. What you being up there in Alberta, Canada, what does the global reach mean to you? I mean, how does it impact you?
Well, just an intellectual, the brain trust of looking at how business might be done in Australia that can be brought into my marketplace. You know, every marketplace has their own culture and everything else. But to really grow a business, you need to sometimes challenge your thinking and expand beyond that and kind of blow it up. And that's what I like about it. I could be talking to one of my colleagues, let's say in Jakarta, and I do talk to one of them on a quite regular basis, and there's just new ideas that I can bring into this market that if we were just in our micro market, we would never think of, we wouldn't see. I could talk to somebody in Australia and get an idea from them that I can bring to my market and better equip my clients to be more successful in the marketplace and be the leaders in the marketplace.
Excellent. Yes, and I fully agree with that. I like that concept. You know, for years, many years, I was an international keynote speaker for many industries, and I always found it interesting that I can take an idea after, researching one of the companies that I was going to speak for. I can take an idea from that experience and bring it to another company that was totally outside that industry. And in fact, the industry that I was bringing the idea to, they never even considered it. So I think, this whole global aspect is very intriguing. Now, in your conversations with all these coaches, Australia, England, Jakarta, have you, and also the meetings that you go to, I'm sure you go to meetings where there are action coaches from all over the world.
Absolutely.
So what do you think are the 2 to 3 key traits that make a great business coach?
Well, I think first of all, you have to listen. I know a few other coaches in the marketplace, and they're always trying to tell. You have to really listen. You have to really understand clearly where your client wants to go, and then it's working with them to achieve their goal. It's not about you, it's about them. And the third thing is, at times, keeping them focused and directed, because that whirlwind of life and business life especially grabs at you. It's keeping them focused. So you have to be focused as well. You have to be ahead of the game to be a great coach, right? And I always think in Canada and the United States, we have football, not soccer, football. And I always think of that coach standing on the sidelines. The day the coach would lose it is the day he steps onto the field. You stay on the sidelines, you hold that big, broad perspective, and don't get too involved in the day-to-day, and truly be a coach rather than a consultant or somebody or a team specialist that's going to run out and do the specialty part of the team, like the punt return group, right?
Yep.
You're standing back and you're looking at the whole thing. How clients value that is sometimes can be a bit challenging, because they really, well, what do you do? Well, I don't know. What are your results? That's what I do. Right.
Well, I like the idea of focus. That's one of my business mantras: is focus, focus, focus. Because I've run across people. In fact, I can, as you were saying that, I thought of 3 people that I know of, very, very intelligent, much more than, let's say, the general population. And these 3 people, as talented, as high in IQ as they have so much opportunity that they're, going after this, then after that, then after this, then after that. And they become scattered. And as a result, don't get the results that their intellect could have gotten them if they focused on one thing and did it well. So I really like that. Now, let's look very specifically at your business. Are there any kinds of clients or industries that you like to focus on?
I prefer actually none of them and all of them. It's not about what the business does. I look at a business as a series of 6 numbers. Every business on the planet has to sell something, right? I really don't care about the product. And when I was in the reason I had so many different corporate jobs, I didn't care so much about being the product expert. I just wanted to know how to take whatever products they were selling. How do I drive revenue, right? What are my cost of goods? What's my gross margin? And I pay my bills from the gross margin. What are my expenses? And on the expense side, is it a true expense or is it an investment in the business? For example, coaching is an investment in the business. And it's getting business owners to start seeing their expenses differently. And then I always pull out payroll as a key number and profit. I look at every business exactly the same. I really don't get involved in the real product. They're a product expert, a technical expert, but I'm the guy who can drive the strategies and looking at affecting those 6 numbers.
All right, I like that. That's the first time I've heard about those 6 numbers from a coach. Let's look at the employee cost. All right, salaries, etc. Why is that so important? Is there a percentage that you look for that they shouldn't go above, or what?
Absolutely, because when you're looking, the numbers are your storybook, right? There's a scoreboard out there, and they'll tell you whether you have to run this play or that play, or what do you have to do. Should you be driving revenue? Can you look at your cost of goods? Because it's all about profit. But one of the key indicators, what's the ratio of payroll to sales or payroll to gross margin? And is it moving up or down? Either you're overworking your people or you've got too many people. And wages being usually a number one expense or a top line expense or the biggest expense in a business, that ratio alone can tell you what decisions you should be making in the business. If you want to hold on to your staff, then you may have to start driving up the sales or the gross margin, right? So that's where you need to be focused. If you're looking at it and you're in a downturn economy, maybe you've got to right size the business and unfortunately have to let people go. But it's a clear indicator of your productivity and of the productivity in the business and how effective you are. And it's funny when employers start looking at the key numbers, the difference they start making in decisions. Business is only about it's not only, it's about the people, but it's how the people affect the number.
Right.
Just like football, it's all about the team players and how they affect the score on the board. That's simply how I look at it.
Okay, but now the payroll, what percentage range do you look for? Where if it goes below, it's too low. If it goes above, it's too high.
Usually you're looking, the happy medium, I look from about a 28 to 34%. Right?
So 28 to 34%. Payroll should be 24 to 38% of
28 to 34%.
Of what? Of total revenue or of
gross? Total revenue.
Total revenue. Okay.
So and then kind of 11 to 13 on gross margin.
Okay, great. No, I'm a numbers person, so I look at that too. So.
Yeah, I met with a client today, and all my clients, I have a dashboard set up. They can use it or use their own. I don't care, but we talk to the dashboard every month. And so today, meeting with a client, a lot of red in the dashboard. But man, there was a massive good news story. Profitability had improved. Still in the red to plan, but what an improvement over last year. A 20-point increase in profit over the last year. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're red to plan. We're not hitting plan because of the slowdown in the marketing grant in the north here. We're highly leveraged on oil and gas. But wow, what a good news story. Over 20% increase in our profitability over same time last year. Wow. Great news story, right? Payroll, bang on for where they need to be, right? We're below plan on the numbers, but we're more profitable and running more efficiently. Operating our expenses are in line with where sales are right now. What a good news story. Yep, we're not hitting our sales figures, but we're making more money. Oh, what a bad thing. No, it was phenomenal, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Are there any, when you go into a new client, are there any particular favorite strategies that you have, let's say, to start up a new client?
I think, we do a very thorough discovery and we go beyond. First of all, we do a very thorough discovery and we really want to get to know where their mindset is, right? We profile them before we really get in, so we don't talk when we talk to them. First thing, I don't really do an alignment as such. I sit down and do a really good strategic plan with them. And the strategic plan is the alignment plus, right? And it's a one-pager, but it puts it down there. Now, a lot of the small business owners, you can do a lot of the paperwork kind of stuff, but realistically, it's beyond their comprehension. So I use a thing that I think about: keep it simple and succeed, right? So I try to find simple tools that they can understand, but the strategic plan just kind of sits in front of them all the time. There's their goals, short-term or one-year goals, 3 to 5 year goals. There's their USP, there's their culture or their competencies, et cetera, et cetera. The SWOT analysis, I do it a little bit differently, but then we start doing the quarterly plans, and then we start getting into some real tactical parts of it on a strategic plan. That's the basis that we work on. And we start probably by the third meeting, we're starting to get into, we got to sit down and do a strategic plan. Every year, review that strategic plan. I've had clients for up to 6 years, and the main reason is because we're continually, I'm part of their business.
Mm.
That's the way I want to keep it as much as possible, rather than just chasing new clients every day. So I use a strategic planning tool that I've adapted from Gazelle's, and it seems to be working very well.
Yeah, let me just clarify something for our viewers. You mentioned the SWOT analysis. That's the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Is that the one you use? Okay.
Yeah. And that's just part of it, but I look at it a little bit differently. You know, it's really, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, your opportunities, and what are your threats? Because that's where we've got to, that could be the barriers, right? So, you know, a threat might be, well, you know, I have a scotoma around believing that you can't ask people their last name or use their name. They'll be offended. Right? So I look at it, I personalize that rather than going on this big market SWOT and the crazy stuff. You know, when I was going through university in the corporate world, we do these SWOT things and everything else. Didn't talk about us. We were just saying, oh, all these people are, you know, blah, 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 blah. And the strengths, oh yeah, look how good we are. All we did was throw smoking mirrors up, in my opinion. So when I look at this, I do it a little bit differently, really trying to drill into, okay, what is your strength? And let's be honest and real. You know, one of them I always hear, oh, our customer service is best. I've yet to tell me somebody they need to work on their customer service. Yeah, but when I walk in their business, boy, do they need to work on their customer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's about getting real and really digging deep through questioning and getting them to come to a point of admission about where their strengths are and where their true weaknesses are and everything else.
Perfect. What kind of prospecting do you do for new clients?
Geez, a lot. We leverage a lot in social media. We do a lot of networking. Depending on, we run a networking event ourselves the first Tuesday of every month. We call it Big Tuesdays. You know, myself and my business partners were involved in Rotaries and chambers and, you know, all the kind of usual things. So networking is a really big portion of it. We do, you may call it bold calling, cold calling, or whatever. I don't do telemarketing at all. We're a small market, and it's just not my thing. Not saying it's wrong, just not my thing. But what I do is, if I see a new business open up, or if there's a business I haven't been in a while, I'll just walk in, and I always carry, well, I'm going to be running this event in a little while. I always carry these, I forget what they're called, pocket cards or whatever. I always carry them around. I'm always inviting somebody to something. So I'll invite them to Big Tuesdays, or I'll invite them to something else. The first thing that, when we look at doing things, we're going to give first, and then build a relationship, and then move into asking. So we have a bit of a longer sales process. I wouldn't say I'm the best sales guy in the market, but I look at building the business over a long term. Wasn't I'm going to be a millionaire in a year. I'm building a company over a long period of time. I want to build a coaching practice or business, not just work out of my house. Right?
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying, or at least how I interpret it, is you're more interested in helping than selling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the business will come to you eventually.
Eventually. And I mean, it's a little slower process, but then you get real credibility in the market too.
Right.
No good having 100 clients and them only sticking around 2 or 3 months and leaving, and you're just going through clients like crazy. You got to build credibility in the marketplace. Right. And again, I'm a small market of 65,000 people, so you don't have a lot of room to make too many mistakes before the whole community or the business community has a reputation on you.
Exactly.
So I have to watch a few things out.
That's right. Do things right. Well, listen, Peter, I really appreciate the time that you spent with me. We're a bit out of time here. I got some good ideas. In fact, when you were talking about your percentages there, I'm running in my mind now. What am I paying for payroll compared to my sales? I think it's probably somewhere between 30 and 35%. So it's
probably a good one.
Sort of at the top end of your range, but still it's within the range. But I think anybody watching this interview, as short as it was, there were some very good ideas, some very different ideas, very creative and different ideas than some of the other interviews I've done. And that's what I look for. I look for not getting the same exact information that I get every single interview, because then the second, third, fifth, 10th, they're redundant because it's the same. So I thought this was a nice, refreshing look at some of the ideas that you do, particularly in a small market. So I thank you very much. Hope that I'll see you at one of the upcoming Action Coach get-togethers, their conventions.
Right.
And if I am there and you see me, do me a favor, come up and say hi, okay?
Will do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing some of your successful ideas with me.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.